Well, good morning, friends and family. It's Monday, November 1st. I'm actually surprised that I've made it this long doing these videos. I think I did, yeah, I already have a posted video of saying that I'm dragging because it was Monday morning. I had a very busy weekend, so, because usually Sunday I recuperate from football day on Saturday because Saturday's a long day. I have to drive to Bloomsburg early in the morning. Then I have like 2.5 hour football game, and then Quentin and I go out to eat. I hang out at his townhouse for a few hours, and I usually don't get home till between 11:30 and 12 o'clock. And this Sunday I went and met for the first time my biological uncle, his wife, and his daughter. And I stayed there till like 8:30 when I'm normally in my pajamas. By 6:30, I take my medicine, which I usually don't fall asleep until for about 2.5 hours after that. And then I had to be up at 6:50 to take my girl to school. So, you know, when I normally go back to bed, I didn't today. I've got my little happy light on, and I did a little bit of research about what I wanted to talk about today. And what I want to talk about today is depression and the church. I guess I'm considered non-denominational because I'm not Lutheran or Catholic or any of the cult churches like Jehovah's Witness, Mormon, Scientology, Seventh-day Adventist, anything like that, which I probably just insulted some people. Sorry. I guess I'm considered more like a Protestant. But I want to talk about the stigma of having depression and being part of the church. Fortunately, I was at a church where several people also suffer from depression, so it really wasn't that bad for me for the first church that I attended. I did run into a couple people that disagreed with taking medication for depression. They would say to me, if you had enough faith, you wouldn't need to take depression. If you went up to an altar call and prayed about depression and you had that faith of a mustard seed, your depression would go away. There were times that I did go to an altar call and prayed about my depression and thought if I did have the faith that they talked about, it would go away. I would try not to take my medicine after an altar call, only to go absolutely bonkers because I didn't take my take my medication. And then, you know, it got to a point where people would be like, oh, like again, say, you know, if you didn't have your faith, that, you know, it would be, if I didn't have faith, strong enough faith, then I would be rid of the depression. But, you know, eventually it came to the fact that, would you tell this to a diabetic? You know, or somebody that suffers, you know, getting dialysis. You're going to tell them, stop going to dialysis because you don't have enough faith. But anyway, I want to talk to you about statistics and what is really what's going on with depression in the church. Okay, so I already put my lashes on because I'm not confident enough yet to go on video, because sometimes it takes me like 20 minutes to get them on. But 1 in 5 adults suffers from depression. So that's like 18.5 in the church suffers from depression and go unsupported in the church. That's 18.5% go unsupported. So, that's about 9.5 million. And that's a lot of people that are going, and it limits their life activities, because they don't know how to function when they don't have the support of the church. Their whole activity life, they can't be involved in the church when they have this disability. They just can't be involved because they can't explain to people why certain days they can't go to meetings and things like that. That they can't be involved, and they can't deal with this. They can't explain their PTSD, their anxiety, their phobias, that keep them from going outdoors. They can't explain their thoughts of suicide and depression, schizophrenia, their substance abuse to the people in the church. And they, there's sudden changes, and we have to get more involved, and there has to be changes in the church. There has to be more seriousness taken in the church about these mental issues, And even though more churches are beginning to take this more seriously, there's no training, there's no training, there's really no training on how to recognize the symptoms, how to recognize when somebody steps out, and when people don't show up to church, or they're just going through the motions of being down, or mental illness is hard to recognize to begin with, because like I said several times, we learn how to fake it. We learn, fake it till you make it. And, so it's hard for people to recognize. And it's hard how to assist families, because it's so taboo. And there's no training by the staff. So there's no staffed counselors in the church to help with mental illness. And so it's really hard for people to seek help in the church, because there's people not in staff, and there's hard for people if there's no common experiences, and that's why people aren't seeking help. And there's so many things that people in the church want to do and want to say. Like, some people in the church will be like, keep your chin up. And a lot of people will look at, in the church, they'll look at it as a flaw. It's a flaw in their character. It's a sign of weakness, especially in men that suffer depression. It's so hard on them, because it's like, you have to be the money maker. You have to be the support for all your family. How can you suffer for depression? How can you be down? Because you have to be the strong one. You have to show an example for your children, and things like that. And how can you suffer for depression when you have to be the money maker? You have to be self-disciplined. You have to have the willpower to go through this, and and it's so hard. You can't pray mental illness away. You can't. Again, like I said, you can't pray cancer away. You can't pray these things away. If God heals you, if God wants to heal you, He can. I'm not saying that God can do anything. God can do anything and everything. But you can't just automatically, feel that you can do this. A lot of stigma and depression in the Black society also. That's like very big right now. And there's this author named Fonda Bryant. She wrote a book called You Can't Pray. No. Her book is called Surrender Your Mental Illness to God. That's what it is. And it's about the Black society, how the ancestors used to think that they would pray to, give it all to God, and that they would be healthy again. And she talks about in her book the cancer and the diabetes and all of that. And the Black society has very little empathy or concern about the mental illness because they feel they need to be strong, and they don't want to talk about it at all outside of the home, because that would mean that they're crazy. That would mean, they carry such high expectations of being a strong society. And there's, that the whole African American thing, they need to, be a strong, I don't know what the word I want to use, just, a strong race. They don't want to show any kind of weakness. They want to show how they've evolved as a race. They don't want to show any type of weakness whatsoever. So, so no stereotype will go wrong. And then there's people that are saying, God's testing your faith. He doesn't give you more than you can handle, and that's wrong. And, God's testing you right now to see if you can make this, through this journey, or God's, punishing you for something you have done. This is your punishment for sins that you have not asked to be forgiven. And God doesn't punish you like that. Now, it isn't depression that I went through a statement like that, but I, with my husband, I got pregnant before we were married. And I was so sick with that son. I mean, violently ill with that son. And I was literally told by somebody that I was sick like that as punishment from God because I got pregnant before I was married. And this was somebody that was high up in the church. And she literally told me that I was sick as my punishment from God. And I was like, okay, I totally knew that wasn't true, but there's a songwriter named Jennifer Cramp, and she said that her lifelong management of depression, she had her best and worst experience with dealing with the church. She experienced utter rejection. Nobody wanted to help her deal with her. She was to absorb her sufferings, keep it inside. Don't share it with anybody, because her as a singer and songwriter, why should she shouldn't tell anybody about what she had going on, because again, it'd be the sign of weakness. You're a disappointment to God, you're a bad Christian, and so many mature Christians and contemporary faith leaders, as well as the prophets, the apostles, and Jesus himself has experienced, I keep looking at my mirror, I'm sorry, has experienced sorrows and sadness and grief. So, how can we help? For believers and non-believers also, practice the ministry of presence. Be there for the people. Be there and, just be there for people. Just, give your undivided attention to them. Sometimes don't talk. Just be there. Just sit on their sofa, sit on their on the chair. You know, if you see dishes in the sink, gently, quietly wash the dishes. Load the dishwasher. Don't act like, oh, I'm going to do this for you. Do you want me to wash your dishes? No, just go, take a rag, wash the dishes, be very quiet. Maybe sweep the floor, fold up some clothes, you know. Don't act like, oh, this needs to be done. I'm going to do your dishes. Because you could also be insulting the person, like making them feel that they don't have it together. You know, I mean, when people come and see, like, oh, your baseboards are dirty, you know, what? I'll get to that. I'm not worried about that right now. I could take it as an insult. Run little errands for them. You know, just little things. When my boys, when I could see they're like down a little bit, I'll just rub their back. You know, I don't suggest a wife to do that to another man to do that to another woman. You could do it to your girlfriend or even a guy, you know, pat your friend on the back. And I think physical touch is very important. Very, if you have good energy, you know, just do that. I'm not talking about like that vibe, that energy, that aura, and all that stuff. No, I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. Just like rub somebody on the back, give them a hug. Except that COVID thing, you know, some people don't want to do any of that. Give a literal shoulder to cry on. If somebody is a crier and they need a thing to cry on. Sometimes people don't want to answer the phone. Sometimes they don't want to text. But I would say continually give them that option. I would say like at least call a day, text once a day, because you never know when that's going to change. That they need that call, that text. Let them know that outlet is still there. Pray for them, pray with them. If they're a non-believer, I would say pray for them. Ask them, can I pray with you? You don't know when they might just need that prayer. When they might just give in and say, yeah, you can pray for me. It might be the opening, that gateway for the Lord to do that. And you want to be that suicide prevention. You could be that one that keeps them from taking those pills, from slitting their wrist, you know, from getting in the car and starting it and sucking in all that carbon monoxide. You could be that lifeline that saves them. So I'm gonna end this by saying always watch out. If you're in the church, be that person in the church that extends the hand to the person. You know, it's not about God doesn't give you more than you can handle, because we don't know how much we can handle. You don't know how much that person can handle. Don't ever look down on mental health. You know, you don't know anything what a person is going through outside the door, because the husband or wife that smiles the biggest and, yeah, we've got it together, you know, I'm so nice, I'm so good, could be the one that's the abuser in the home. And the quiet, gentle one could be being the one that's so mistreated. You just don't know. So again, the suicide hotline is 800-273-8255. Keep that in your phone. 800-273-8255. If you go in and catch them down on the floor or anything like that, call 911 right away. Even if they say don't, even if you just think they took something, call 911. Save your friend's life. And with that, have a great day. Thanks for watching my video. God bless. Peace.